Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and I want to welcome you to the first video in this 15 video series on principles of management. This very first video, we're going to talk about what managers do and how to manage effectively in this global world. Let's face it, every type of organization there is has got to have people who are in management positions to help employees do what they do best and to make sure that ultimately that customers are being served so that the companies continue to thrive and be very successful. Without happy employees, without happy customers, without happy vendors, and without systems in place, organizations cannot compete. So, what managers do is very, very important. And so, throughout this course, we're going to be talking about the different processes and systems and terms and resources, everything that you need to know in order to be an effective employee and to be an effective manager, if that is your goal. So, stick with the video series, and I hope that you enjoy the content, and I double dog dare you to watch every single video from start to finish so that you can gain the best knowledge possible to understand what managers do and how they do it. So in this very first video, we are talking about just some general concepts in management. So we'll describe what the four functions of management are. You will be able to understand what managers at different organizational levels do, and we'll talk about the skills needed to be an effective manager. Essentially, we're going to talk about some major challenges too facing managers today and recognize how successful managers achieve competitive advantage, a very important term in every industry. So, what is management? A general definition of management is the process of working with people and resources to accomplish organizational goals, and it really is about efficiency and effectiveness. Some managers really are all about four specific functions if you just want to generalize it. Planning is one of the basic functions, and it's specifying goals, deciding the actions needed to achieve those goals. Organizing, that's about assembling and coordinating the resources needed to achieve goals. Leading is about stimulating people to become high performers. And then controlling, that's monitoring and reacting to performance. So, here are some examples of some basic planning activities. So, it starts with analyzing the current situation, anticipating the future, determining objectives, then deciding in what actions to engage in, choosing a business strategy, and then determining the resources to achieve those goals. There essentially are four different levels of managers. There are top level managers. These are called the executives, and these are senior executives responsible for the overall management and effectiveness of the organization. At the next level are middle level managers, and these managers are located in the middle layers of the organizational hierarchy, and they report directly to top level executives. The two lower levels are considered frontline managers and team leaders. Frontline managers are the lower level managers who execute the operational activities of the organization, and then team leaders are employees who are responsible for facilitating successful team performance. And these are just general overarching titles, but you may, in your organization, you may recognize that they have different title names, and so we use names like vice presidents and executive vice presidents and senior managers and directors and supervisor or manager of this. So that's the thing that kind of makes things a little confusing, but every organization is different, and titles help people understand better, who they could go to for the right resources, or who has the responsibility for doing different things within the organization to keep the organization successful. So there are different roles for each of these, and starting at the lower levels, team leaders are the ones who are essentially facilitating the work that's being done directly serving the customers. They're structuring teams and defining their purposes, they're finding resources and removing obstacles so that teams can accomplish their goals. They're developing team members, skills, teams can be more efficient. Now, frontline managers are generally like the operational managers, and I worked in the grocery industry for years, and so I see team leaders as being department managers, and then frontline managers being like a store operations director or a manager. And those people at that level, they are very often aggressive entrepreneurs, but these are the people who are the ones that are implementing things, almost directly working with the customer or with the teams that are working with their team leaders. And the goal of frontline managers is attracting and developing resources, creating and pursuing new growth opportunities for the business, and then managing continuous improvement within the unit. And then there's middle-level managers, and very often these people are vice presidents or regional directors or directors, even executive directors. And those people are administrative controllers that support things that need to be controlled, essentially. So they are linked with dispersing knowledge and skills across all the different units, managing the tension between short-term purpose and long-term ambition, and they're developing individuals and supporting their activities. And then, as we mentioned before, we have top-level managers or the E-level executives. These are the people who are allocators of institutional leadership, and they establish high performance standards for the organization. And they are institutionalizing a set of norms to support cooperation and trust. And then they're creating an overarching corporate purpose and ambition. So they're the ones that really get the boat moving in the right direction and help really set the standards for the organization. What is the organization going to be about? What's the reputation of the organization? How are people at all levels going to meet those organizational goals? So really is important to think about how important each of the different levels of management are. And maybe you've had positions in a management role where you've had to make a difference. Really being clear of what you can do and what you can't do and who you report to can help make the organization run a lot smoother. There are essentially three roles that all managers perform, and simply put, one that I think is one of the most important, and they're all almost equally important, I guess, is interpersonal roles. This is about being a leader, a liaison, a figurehead. Relationships are fragile, and so being an effective leader really takes excellent interpersonal skills and high levels of emotional intelligence. And then there is the information roles. This is where a manager is monitoring, disseminating information, and being a spokesperson. And the third level is the decisional role. They're being an entrepreneur, they're being a disturbance handler, they're allocating resources, they're being a negotiator. So each of these interpersonal roles has very, very important functions within the organizations. Technical skills of a manager are also very, very important. Managers need to have the ability to perform lots of different specialized tasks involving particular methods or processes. So web design would be a good example of technical skills that they have to have. This program is all about helping people grow their technical skills, in many different areas. So hopefully, if you like this video, you can watch the other videos in my series. I have human resources and leadership and diversity. So there's a lot of different types of videos in my video series here to help you be the very best. There's conceptual and decision skills that managers need to have, and it's the ability to identify and resolve problems for the benefit of the organizations and its members. And this could be like picking a location for a new office, for instance. So Managers truly need to have very broad skills. With interpersonal and communication skills, they have to be able to lead, motivate, communicate effectively with others with soft skills, and they need to be able to counsel and coach people. They have to be successful in demonstrating high levels of emotional intelligence, as I've mentioned before. And this is about really understanding yourself and managing yourself and dealing with others effectively. There is important skills at different levels. So at the highest level, the top level, they may need to have lower technical skills but have higher conceptual decision-making skills and higher level interpersonal and communication skills. Level managers can have a medium technical skills, but they should have very high conceptual decision-making skills and high interpersonal communication skills. Frontline managers need to have high technical skills because they're dealing directly with the people who are manufacturing the products or serving the customers, so they really have to understand the products and services and the processes. They also have to have a medium level of conceptual and decision-making skills, since the higher level managers are making all the decisions. They just need to be able to execute the strategies. And they, like all the levels of management, they too have to have high levels of interpersonal and communication skills. Team leaders also have to have high technical skills, because these are the people who are leading directly the people who are interacting with the customers or creating the product for the customers or the services for the customers. And they have to have likewise medium conceptual and decision-making skills and high levels of communication skills. So all types of skills are important at every different level, but if you want to grow within your organization or grow your own organization, you truly have to have the right set of skills. And so you have to be aware of that, and you can do that with a self-reflection or ask other people, how am I doing, or how's my technical skills as it relates to this organization. So there are major challenges that organizations face. And managers must consider globalization and technological changes and the importance of knowledge and ideas related to their industry. They have to be able to collaborate across organizational boundaries, and a increasingly diverse workforce makes communication a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. Today's realities are that businesses truly are operating in a global scale. Technology is continually advancing, and we need to stay on top of it, and that means businesses need to be allocating the right money to make sure that they're continually updating technology to stay with and against the competition and compete successfully. Knowledge management is critical. Collaboration is always important, and learning how to boost people's performance to keep things as efficient as possible. And then diversity needs to be properly leveraged. Organizations, ideally, leadership teams and employees need to be reflecting of the demographics of the organization. And so happy customers are customers who are understood. Organizations need to have a competitive advantage, something that helps distinguish them from their competition. No organization can be everything to all people, but if you are very, very clear on where you gain your competitive advantage, managers will continue to leverage those things to continue to keep the organization successful as it relates to what each manager has influence over. So some essential areas of a competitive advantage are innovation, quality, service, speed, and cost of competitiveness. And so innovation, always continuing to have the best products and services as far as being on the cutting edge. Quality of those products and services have to be number one. Or maybe you can put yourself as the lower quality because you're the lower cost thing, but people must always get what they expect at least, and hopefully they're getting more than what they get. Top quality service is another way that organizations can compete, because that really is about a change of an attitude, and leaders have a big effect on employees' attitude, which affects speed. So in quality of service, and then cost competitive is all interconnected with that. So with innovation, innovation is the introduction of new goods and services, and often the most important innovation is not the product itself, but how it's delivered. So marketing is really, really important. Packaging. Quality is always important for people, and it's about the excellence of your product, goods, or services. And we need to know that historically, quality referred to the attractiveness with a lack of defects, reliability, and long-term dependability. And so with quality, you can build a reputation. And that's why people, I can remember when Ray-Bans first came out, or I saw Ray-Bans. Ray-Bans were expensive, and the more that people saw the quality of a Ray-Ban sunglass, for instance, the more popular they started getting. But almost every industry has those things where people go, oh my gosh, you have a Sony, you've got a quality thing there. Well, that's reputation. So you build your reputation one product at a time. And you do that by making sure that standards are very, very clear. And that's what managers do. With service in every organization, speed and dependability, how respectful people are, and it really has to do with customer service, which is about being able to give a customer what they're expecting in the way that they expect it, and going above and beyond it, as far as I'm concerned. Speed is another thing. It's about timely execution, response, and delivering the results. So with cost competitiveness, you have to be aware of how your products or services are priced. Price does matter, and so you can't be all things to all people. Like, for instance, I love Nordstrom's, and Nordstrom's is known for having the very best quality products, but they're also known for having the highest prices possible. Starbucks is another thing too. A cup of coffee used to cost 35 cents, and now you can pay $3 to $8, I suspect, for a cup of coffee, depending on what's in it. But you're getting a quality cup of experience, and you're also paying for a service. So people, you can't be all things to all people. You don't go to Walmart and expect the best quality products. You expect to have the lowest price, and that's how managers position their products or services. So it's about keeping prices low to achieve expected profits, and be able to offer prices that are attractive to your specific targeted demographic groups. So you have to be aware of where you are in the fields of each of those different areas, and competitive advantage really is absolutely important, because you have to know how what you do and help your people understand what you do helps you maintain that competitive advantage within your organization. Some other sources of competitive advantages are about really recognizing that you have to deliver on it. You can't assume that you can settle for delivering just one source of competitive advantage. All areas need to be met and be very, very specific and clarified by managers. And you have to be aware of the trade-offs among all the 5 sources of competitive advantages, because this doesn't need to be a zero-sum game. Like as I mentioned, you can have a decent price but a significantly stronger quality product, or you can have faster service at a lower price. So you have to be very clear as a manager that you are communicating what that competitive advantage is, and help make sure that you're coaching and training employees to make sure they're doing their part at maintaining that competitive advantage. The challenge these days is that how a parent performs the functions of planning, organization, leading, and controlling, it really does mirror what happens in an organization. So being thoughtful and thinking of yourself, you can't treat another adult as your kid. But if you think about an organization like a family, you'll recognize that managers do exactly what parents do. They plan, they organize, they lead, and they control. And hopefully, by the time you recognize what good leadership is, you're recognizing that you're helping boost people up and helping coach them to be successful and feel like they're a valued part of the organization, so they just want to continue to grow with your organization and keeping the talent within the organization. And that should be the goal for every manager, to help people be successful with the systems that are in place. So let's review. I know this video's ran on and on. I just want to give you an overview. We talked about the 4 functions of management. That's planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. The 4 different levels of management. That's the top, middle, frontline, and team leader. The 3 broad skills that managers need are interpersonal, informational, and decisional. We talked about the major challenges these days facing managers and sources of competitive advantage, which are innovation, quality, service, speed, and competitiveness. I want to thank you very much for watching this video to the very end. I hope that you've taken away some important information, and I encourage you to watch the rest of the videos in this series, because learning is an active process. The more times that you put information in, the greater chances that information is going to stick. I'm glad that you're here. Thanks again for your time, and I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul Gerhardt.